Join me on my trip today to see how American Airlines charges insane fares for a so-called domestic first-class product that simply doesn't deliver at all. I would even go as far to call it a ripoff. Just watch and see for yourself. My journey today started in Terminal D at Dallas-Fort Worth, just an hour after arriving on a transatlantic flight from Frankfurt. And right away, problem number one. The American Airlines app notified me that my flight was delayed by an hour and 40 minutes. Great start, right? At this point, I was also still looking forward to flying on an Airbus A321, but more on how I ended up on the 737 later. Since this was a connecting flight, I had already checked in back in Germany, so I could head straight to security. Or so I thought. What greeted me instead was a massive queue. At first I thought I wouldn't have to deal with the line, since surely there'd be a fast track for first class passengers. Right? Well, apparently not. I was genuinely surprised to find out that there's no priority lane, something I learned after asking an unfriendly airport employee. Turns out, the only way to skip security here is with TSA pre-check, which of course I didn't have. And I couldn't have because TSA pre-check is only for US citizens. To be fair, I probably should have checked that beforehand. But still, you'd expect the fast track at an airline's main hub when flying business or first, as they call it. So I had no choice but to join the massive line, and wait, and wait, and wait. And after what felt like an eternity, it was finally my turn. Luckily, today they weren't making us unpack our bags or take off our shoes, so the screening went smoothly. From there I made my way towards what I thought was going to be my gate. The first gate my app showed me was A35. So to get over to the A terminal, I hopped onto the SkyTrain. And not even kidding, just as I arrived there, my gate changed back to one in Terminal D. So back on the SkyTrain and straight back to Terminal D. Now I had around 2.5 hours to kill. And what does a first class passenger usually do with that time? Right, head to the lounge. Well, at least if you're not flying with American, because lounge access is not included with domestic first class ticket, which I just find insane, as on short haul routes the lounge is usually one of the main perks of flying in the premium cabin. Luckily I had lounge access anyway, at least in theory. I didn't even make it to the Admiral's Club counter before some rude employee asked me whether I was under 18, which obviously I am, and immediately told me I could not come in, before turning back to a screen. Unfortunately, I didn't film the encounter, as I didn't want to be disrespectful and disturb anyone by filming in the lounge. Now look, I get that as a minor I can't expect automatic entry, but after a long haul flight and a 2-hour delay I had wished for at least some cooperation, as it is always the lounge staff that has the last say. So with a bit of goodwill I could have easily spent my time waiting in the lounge. Instead, back to reality. I ended up at Macca's with a quarter pounder. While eating, I checked Flight Radar to see where my plane was, and saw that my A321 had been swapped for a 737, and with that came another hour of delay, now adding up to 2.5 hours, and another gate change, this time to Terminal C. Half an hour before boarding, I headed over to Terminal C, a beautifully renovated and very modern terminal, but unfortunately was packed that night. Finally, just 5 minutes before boarding was supposed to start, our plane taking me to LA tonight arrived. November 9-5 Alpha Alpha, a 24-year-old Boeing 737-800 that was delivered to American Airlines in 2000. As a first-class passenger, I was in Group 1 and could board among the first. Now, while I challenged the other passengers for a race through the jet bridge, let's quickly rate the ground experience. Check-in in Frankfurt, let's say below average. In Dallas, rude staff, no fast track, no lounge access, an aircraft swap, over 2 hours of delay with no compensation or any word from the airline, and they basically made me run a whole bloomin' marathon through the airport. Not to be dramatic, but that felt more like a Ryanair experience than anything remotely first class. And the thing is, I didn't get a single perk on the ground, despite this ticket normally costing 2 to 3 times as much as a regular economy fare. To be honest, that's a solid 0.5 out of 5. So now the onboard experience really has to deliver to make up for everything that happened and didn't happen on the ground. So let's see what it's like and finally get on board the airplane. American Airlines Boeing 737s are configured with 172 seats, 132 standard economy seats, 24 main cabin extra seats with 5 inches of extra legroom, and 16 first class seats in the classic domestic 2-2 configuration. After boarding I took my seat for the night, 3F, a window seat in the second to last row of first class. American uses Collins MIQ seats in first class, offering 37 inches of pitch and 20 inches of width. Now, the biggest controversy with these seats? They don't have personal seatback entertainment screens like Delta or United. Instead, there's just a smartphone or tablet holder, which to be fair did its job pretty well. But seriously, American, who in your headquarters thought that this was a good idea that would satisfy your customers? For a 3-hour flight, I can live with it. But remember, these exact same seats are on flights to Hawaii and Alaska, which can run 6 hours or more. Paying first class prices for 6 hours without a personal screen? That's just a ripoff. The legroom was more than enough for me being 6 foot, and the seat was really comfy overall. The tray table is hidden in the armrest and pops out with the push of a button. It was pretty spacious and not as wobbly and saggy as other tables of that type. The table could also be moved back and forth quite a bit. Between the 2 seats in front of me was another little table that I later used to put down glasses and cans. In between both seats was a little compartment, which was absolutely nasty, but had a universal power outlet inside. In the seat back pocket, you'll find a safety card and an air sickness bag. I give the seat a solid 3 out of 5 points. It's wide, has plenty of legroom and is comfy, but missing a PSE screen really throws me off, and the state of that compartment was just gross. Now, the next disappointment. No pre-departure drinks. I get it, the crew was obviously in a rush, with a tight turnaround and a significant delay already. But come on, you can't just cut out a service people paid for or skip it entirely because of your operational issues. Anyway, boarding was completed soon, and we started pushing back with a delay of 2 hours. We then taxied out to runway 36 right and took off into the night with an amazing engine roar. While we taxi, I would really appreciate your feedback in the comments. Also like the video and subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed it so far. Now enjoy this amazing takeoff.
It could happen. Yeah, it could happen. Of course, we'll be upstairs as well. Yep. So let's go.
Right after takeoff, hot towels were handed out. A really nice way to freshen up after being on the go for over 24 hours. Then, shortly after, drink service began. I went with a can of ginger ale and a glass of water, both served in actual glassware. Shortly after, the meal service started off with a bowl of warm nuts. Then I was served the meal I had pre-selected online. I really appreciated that they took the time to serve the drinks, nuts and the main meal tray separately. It definitely added a bit of a premium feel to the service. I chose chicken parmesan as my main dish. It came with a salad and cheesecake for dessert. All courses were served on one tray, which honestly I expected for a short-haul flight like this. With my meal I was offered more drinks, and I stuck with ginger ale and water again. Spending 50 hours on American Airlines definitely made me a bit addicted to ginger ale. The presentation of the meal was alright, but nothing special. The noodles that came with the chicken were pretty mushy and the sauce was kind of bland. Same goes for the chicken. It wasn't bad, but nothing to write home about. I probably wouldn't choose it again. My seat neighbor ordered the cheese platter, which looked amazing and according to her tasted just as good. The salad I had was fresh and delicious, but the cheesecake, easily the best part of my meal. I'm no food expert, but let's just say it was pretty good. Overall, I give the meal 3.5 out of 5 points. Throughout the flight, the crew regularly came around to check on us and offered drinks and snacks. I really have to say that the crew on this flight was amazing. Definitely the best part of my journey. They were extremely friendly and caring and never made you feel stressed, even though I'm sure they were. So 5 out of 5 points for the crew. Now it's time for the loo review. I used the forward lavatory on the 737, which is reserved exclusively for first class. It wasn't the biggest, but definitely not uncomfortably small like some other narrow-body loos. It was very clean and overall had everything you needed. Plus a really big changing table. if you need that. If you're looking for fancy amenities, you're out of luck. But honestly, I didn't expect any, so that was totally fine. After returning to my seat, I enjoyed 2 more cans of ginger ale before we began our descent into LAX. We touched down 2 hours and 15 minutes later, with a pretty rough landing.
As items may have moved in flight. And thank you for choosing American Airlines.
After a short taxi, we reached our gate and ID boarded. So what can I say? Don't fly this first class, at least not at full price. It's really not worth it. I got this flight for a good deal, so in terms of price to performance, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Overall, American's first class reaches 15 out of 25 points, placing it second behind its long-haul economy. If I had paid the regular fare, this would have felt like a total rip-off. In the end, the only perks you get for paying 2 to 3 times as much as the regular economy price are priority boarding, a wider seat with a bit of extra legroom and a meal. And no, American, that's not first class, and it's not even business class. In my opinion, what you're offering here would be far more fitting as a premium economy product. Before I end this video, I just want to say that I'm fully aware that these are all first world problems, and I'm extremely privileged to be able to fly in the first place. And this also was just my personal experience, where unfortunately a lot went wrong, so your flight might be completely different. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love your feedback. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos.